Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and I'm here to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and that is gardening on a budget. Okay, we have seen gardening explode in the last 2 years, and we've seen lots of cool, interesting new products come out. And you know, when you're scrolling on Instagram, you definitely get sold a lot of things that you may think that you need to garden really successfully, but really, gardening should be accessible by all, and it should be inexpensive. Now, in today's day and age, in the buy culture, you gotta be a little creative, and you really gotta kind of think outside the box sometimes on what do you really need, what do you don't need, what can you get by with, and what can you build over time. When I first started gardening, I was unemployed. I didn't have 2 pennies to pinch together, rub together. I don't know what you do with the pennies. I didn't have any pennies, is my point. And so I was gardening as cheaply as possible. Well, luckily I'm not in that position anymore, but I still always try to think about what do I really need and what do I not need. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about gardening on a budget, some of the top things that you need to know about where to spend your limited amount of money. We all know that the economy is tight right now. In fact, I just read last night that San Diego moved from the 30th most expensive city to the 17th most expensive city in the United States. So things are tight. We need to be careful. We need to be thinking about the future. So how can you garden on a budget? Well, stick around, and in this video, I'll tell you how. Before I get to that, hit the like and subscribe button so you're notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so if you were to ask me, what's the number one thing that you should be spending your money on if you have a limited amount of budget for your garden, the one thing that I would say specifically for zone 9 and 10 is irrigation. Now, I know that this is something that can be kind of expensive, but if you check out our video that we just posted about irrigation, you'll see that it's really not as expensive as you think. And there are a lot of different systems for different budgets, and you know, from very simple systems to more complex. This is a little bit more of a complex system because it's got a timer with valves, but you'll see in that video that we actually just use something you hook up to your, oh, good morning. You hook up to your hose bib, and it's a very simple system. Now, why is irrigation so important? Well, specifically when we're talking about zone 9 and 10, we have beautiful weather, but the thing that we're lacking is enough annual rainfall to really have thriving soil. And as you know from all of my videos, thriving soil is what makes really good plants. And soil is something that we spend tons and tons of money on in a garden, buying compost and fertilizer and worm castings and composting, all of these additives, and they won't really do that good if there is an absence of moisture. All the little microbes and worms and arthropods and all the little things that live in the soil need water to survive. Just like us, we need water to survive, so do those organisms in the soil. And if you want really good soil, you got to get moisture into the soil. And you need to do that consistently and regularly. So irrigation is a way to do that. So by investing in irrigation, you're gonna have better soil, which is gonna save you a lot of money in the long run because you're not having to add so many different products. So let me just show you what my soil looks like after years of adding moisture to the soil, adding compost, and adding mulch. Come on, let's go check it out. So as you can see here, I've got irrigation, right? And look at this soil. It has not rained. Oh my God. That never gets old. It still surprises me that I live in San Diego County and I have soil that looks like this. Now this took a lot of work, but the main thing, the main ingredient in making the soil look like this is moisture. It hasn't rained in San Diego County in weeks, and I've got irrigation that's running that's providing moisture in the soil so that all of the organisms can keep moving and pumping and working and doing things while I'm off doing other things, right? So that's really, really important. The other thing is look over here. See these? Those are volunteers, which is really exciting. These are actually, those are radish volunteers. We did some radish seed production. So the other thing I love about irrigation is it allows you to have volunteers, which are the cheapest type of plant that you can have in the garden because it's 100% free. I didn't plant these. They just popped up because the seeds were in the soil from last season. Moisture allowed those seeds to germinate, and now I've got free seeds. It really is incredible what irrigation does in the garden. And folks, you got to remember that I'm really, really talking about zone 9 and 10. In other climates where you get regular rainfall, maybe irrigation isn't on the top of your list. But for most of the Southwest, zone 9 and 10, and even some of 8, where you don't get regular, consistent rainfall, irrigation is key. Even in wetter climates where the rainfall is really heavy and then really, really dry, it's hard to garden consistently and regularly in that pattern of wet and then dry. The other thing that irrigation does is it's gonna save your plants. One of the biggest things I see with people who are brand new gardeners is they're super excited, they go buy a bunch of starts, they put them in the ground, life happens, they forget to water, they come out and all that money is wasted because they killed their plants because there wasn't a backup plan, irrigation, to keep the soil moist when they couldn't water. So again, watch our videos on irrigation if you want to install your own system. It's not that difficult. You can make something very simple up to something very complex, but it is the best money you can spend in your garden in zone 9 and 10. Okay, so irrigation, number 1. What's number 2 on my list? Being creative. When my parents and my grandparents were gardening in the Midwest, they didn't go out and buy a bunch of stuff for their garden because they couldn't. So they had to be creative. They had to use what was already on their property. They had to trade with neighbors. They had to use and reuse and recycle, which a lot of us are getting back into. But again, it's hard when we live in a society where the moment you look at a phone, they're selling you a bunch of stuff that you think you might need. So here's a prime example. So this is just bamboo from some bamboo plants that we have over there. And they actually make fabulous stakes. So I reuse them. And there is so much of this in San Diego County. You can get it from your neighbors, you can get it from all kinds of people, and use community to find stuff. I love that Facebook has brought together groups of people that love specific things. And in your area, no matter where you are, San Diego County or otherwise, I guarantee there's a Facebook group that's a garden exchange group where somebody has extra plants or maybe somebody has bamboo stakes that they want to get rid of. There's lots that you can source for free from community. And this is just one example. Along with being creative is something like this. You know, you can go out and buy cedar wood planks. And yes, they're beautiful, but they're also very expensive. These were free stumps that came out of a chip drop that we got. And we're just using it basically to kind of keep the bed and keep the soil in place. And I actually love the rugged, organic look of these. Yes, it's not as polished as having perfect cedar boards, but I'm not really polished. So it's reflective of my personality. It's perfect. And now, if you're asking yourself, what's chip drop? Oh my gosh. I don't know how many times I've said mulch, 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 and compost, compost, compost. It's like my 2 favorite things. So chip drop is a free program where you can just get arborists who are cutting down trees in your neighborhood to drop off mulch from their jobs at your house, and you can use it in the garden. If you're a first-time viewer, go out and check out our other videos. Spoiler alert, I'm obsessed with mulch. It makes a very big difference in our county, and I can't afford to buy it. And why would I when I can get it free from an arborist who would have taken it to the landfill? So there's an option on there to get stumps as well. And I actually love getting stumps because I use them to build stuff in my garden. So again, free, creative, and you're keeping things out of the waste stream that would have gone to the landfill. Amazing, right? So circling back to community, a lot of times you can get stuff that maybe somebody else isn't going to use. Maybe they're not a gardener. This whole trellis system here is made up of stuff that I've gotten free. I got this from another gardener. These are old, pretty rusted cattle panels, the cheaper version. And I got them for free versus going out and buying, you know, the sheets that are very, very expensive. So I know everywhere, every community has different options for you, depending on where you live. Luckily in San Diego County, we have a thriving garden community that's really willing to share and offer excess things that one person has for another person. And what I really love about that is it's community, right? So you're getting to know your garden, you're getting to know your neighbor. And a lot of times when somebody gifts me, you know, poles or whatever, they usually give me some knowledge of, hey, you know, this is what really works well for me. This is how I grow my carrots, you know, whatever the thing is. So you meet your neighbors, you learn some really good tips about how to grow in your area, and you get free goods that may have ended up in the landfill, which we really want to avoid. So as you can tell, there's a lot of different things you can do in the garden to save money. And Some of these things may be obvious to you, some of these things may not be obvious to you. But I really want to encourage everybody, especially moving into the new year, and right now it's almost Christmas time and you might be in that buying frenzy of the holidays, to really think about what do you need to garden well, and what do you have to buy and what can you source otherwise? Because gardening should be accessible by all. It shouldn't matter your budget, shouldn't matter. Oh, I was like, what is that? Sorry. So that just scared me. It sounded like I don't know, like an animal was coming after the videographer, but it was their irrigation that just popped on. So here's a prime example. Irrigation popped on. I didn't have to remember. I'm doing videos for you guys. So irrigation saves you probably on one of the biggest things that we all have limited amounts of, and that's time. It allows you to free up your time that you would be watering to do other things in the garden, like sourcing poles or building beds or what have you. Gardening should be accessible to all, no matter what your budget is, no matter what your space is. And it's something that I think makes you feel really good and can help you become a happier, healthier person. So it's my goal to help you do that no matter what it is that you're working with, whether it's a tiny little apartment patio or a 10-acre ranch. Let's get you gardening, and let's get you gardening on a budget.